My name is Victor Wooten, and I'm happy to be here with you. But check this out. I am a proud DR string user. But even more than that, I am a proud friend of the Dronge family. And I endorse quite a few products, but for me, I can only speak for myself. For me, I endorse people before I endorse a product. So I may like your product, but I got to meet you. And if we don't get along, it's like a marriage. It doesn't matter how you look. We don't get along, we're not getting married. At least we shouldn't. Some people do, right? At least we shouldn't. But I had heard about DR strings for a long time, and I had played a lot of different types of strings. But it wasn't until I met Mark Dronge that I realized what DR strings were all about. Now, the strings sound good, but a lot of strings sound good. A lot of strings feel good. But not all companies felt good to me as much as Mark Dronge and his daughter, Annika. I met them. They actually, I don't know if I should say this because everyone's going to want this. They flew to my house in Tennessee. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. And it was Christmas. And they hopped on a bus. We were taking my 4 kids on a Christmas tree ride on like this party bus. And I don't really know how much they're into Christmas. My wife is Jewish. So, you know, we split the holiday, but they hopped on the bus with us and we looked at Christmas trees. And that relationship that started, I should say that continued that day, still means so much to me. And maybe if not even more now that Mark is in another place. But carried on by his beautiful daughters and grandkids, and carried on by you. Because whether you put it into words like I'm doing tonight, I think you feel the same thing from this company. And to hear recently that this company and Guild are coming together, to me is even more powerful. Because I know a little bit of the history of Guild. Was it your grandfather, right? Yeah. Your grandfather who was part of the start of that company. I'll let Annika talk more about that. But I have some Guild instruments at home, so I'm very fond of that company. But again, to repeat, I endorse people more than I endorse products. And I look forward to getting to know the people at Guild. Because I know the people at DR, and if they are going to partner with anybody, I know that we are dealing with good people. And I think I can speak for all of us to say that as good as products can be, as good as musicians be, what the world can really benefit from is more good people. I think we feel that, at least in our lifetime, more than ever. We've always needed it, but we're at a time where we feel it, right? So, I urge us all at this NAMM show, which is about products, it's about music, is to also make it about people. Make it about relationships. Of course, the products are important, but not as much as the people. You know, I'm sure, I'll just speak for myself. On my final days, if I'm allowed to be sane, I'm not going to be laying there saying, man, I should have practiced a little more. All right? I should have, whatever. It's going to be about the people. I just want to hug my family once again. I'm going to be reminiscing on the people that meant the most to me. And I urge us to, how do I say it? And I'm just speaking for myself, but I urge us to go through business that way and form meaningful relations with people, right? I love my bass, I love my strings, but when you come to see me, I don't want you listening to my bass or my strings. I want you feeling my heart, what I'm putting through. In the same way, I don't tell you that I speak mouth, right? I don't name the instrument that I speak with. It's not important. It's only important that the instrument makes me comfortable to be a good human. And so when I'm looking for products, I'm looking for people that make me a better person. And then when they make a good product, you hit the jackpot. And I think with DR and Guild, we've hit the jackpot. And because you're here, I think you agree. Am I right? Yeah. Thank you for being a part of this union. But it's a powerful one. It's a one that the music business needs. Good people, good companies coming together, starting with good people, filtering down through the product. Okay? I think this is a powerful union, and I think that you agree, which is why we're here tonight. And that's really all I wanted to say, is that we really cultivate the human relationship, not just the product relationship. Let the product relationship build from a grand and a great unified human relationship. And I think we can help this music business all together. Cool? You with me? Thank you very much. My good friend, Annika. Come on, Annika. Yeah. What you been dressed for like? Look at that. We coordinated.
Thank you, Victor. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it, too. Thank you. Thanks for listening, everyone. Appreciate it.
Well, good evening, and thank you, everyone, for making the time to be here tonight to celebrate a moment that means a lot for these companies, but also for me personally. As you heard, my grandfather, Al, he founded Guild Guitars in the early 50s, and my father, Mark Dronge, he founded DR Strings in 1989. And my name is Annika, as you know, and I'm the CEO of DR Strings, and I have been officially with DR for the last 12 years, though I've been surrounded by guitars for as long as I can remember, mostly Guilds, of course. So tonight I just kind of want to walk you through a little journey, a love story, really, if you will, which has all the elements of a great love story. It has passion, mystery, a near miss, and an ultimate coming together. I want to say this is sort of like a family portrait. Up to the left is a picture of Al Dronge in 1954, my grandpa, at his factory in Hoboken, New Jersey. Nice tie, Grandpa. He was 12 when he came to this country from Poland, and that's when his education stopped. He made his way sweeping the floor of a used musical instrument shop and playing the banjo on the Hudson River line. But his passion and his hard work ethic ultimately led him to founding Guild Guitars. Up on the right, you'll see a photo of my dad, Mark Dronge, in 1966, during an iconic Guild moment when he found a way to get a Guild 12-string Starfire to his hero, John Lennon. On the bottom, a little shout out to my mom. We have guitars on both sides of my family. Her grandfather, my great-grandfather, started a Swedish guitar company called Levin Guitars, which was imported in the 60s to the US, known as Goya, for any of those who you might know about. And you might recognize Django Reinhardt playing Levine down there, and that's Julie Andrews in The Sound of Music. So this is why I call it kind of a family portrait. My parents met, guess where? At a NAMM show. 1967, they were married for 52 years. While my dad and my grandfather were working at Guild, they started to get a little bit frustrated, was the word that they used, because they felt they couldn't quite get the sound they had expected from the guitars, that certain something extra. And they looked into the various components of the guitar. They looked at the bracing, the wood, the glue, and they realized, you know what, I think it's the strings. And they did their research, and they discovered somewhere along the line, somewhere along the way, string construction had changed from being a round-shaped core wire to a hexagonal-shaped core wire. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Here on your left is a hex core, that's the center of the string, and here on the right is the round core. Now, round core strings are how guitar strings and piano strings, by the way, had been made for centuries. Why is this relevant? And why did this happen? To make a round core string, you have to stop and put a swedge on it so that the wrap can latch around it. It takes longer. It takes a little more care, and therefore it's more expensive. It's faster and therefore more economical to produce a hex core string. But that small difference, at least my grandfather and father felt, made a difference in the sound, made it a little less musical. And you lost the sustain and the tone because there are little pockets and corners, and that changes the way that the string vibrates. And you lose a little bit of contact between the core and the wrap. We're going to come back to this in a minute. But round, if you think about the shape, most shapes in music are round. The sound hole of an acoustic guitar, the head of a drum, the bell of a saxophone. Sound likes to move in smooth waves. Think about a pebble being thrown into a pond and the concentric circles coming out. You don't see concentric hexagon shapes. We're going to come back to the core in a minute, but I just wanted to tell you this was an idea that they had, but my father left the music industry. They never quite got around to starting that string company they thought about. But actually, my dad was called back in the 80s to run Guild, and he said, you know what? I think it's time to start that company. And that's why he founded DR Strings based on the round core construction. At DR, we do everything out of our factory in New Jersey. We have a lot of fun. We're innovative, we're playful. A lot of you out there know us to kind of be experimental. You have a new gauge, you have a new idea, let's try it out. Let me have Tom from our factory say a little word.
I'm Tom, the factory manager here at DR Strings. I'd like to show you around our factory.
Many of us have been here for decades, which speaks to our experience, as well as the positive work environment we've cultivated over the years. Quality is our priority. We use only the finest USA-sourced medical and military-grade materials. To focus on one of the many steps we take in terms of quality, everyone at DR wears white gloves through the entire process of making a string, so no dirt, oils, or acids comes into contact with the wire. This aspect is important as it prevents decay of the metal and gives the strings a chance to last longer. The customer is the very first one to touch the strings.
So I just wanted to tell you, go back to that round core idea. Fast forward to last year, we decided, you know what? Why don't we take that core and upgrade it a little bit? Because believe it or not, metal, it's natural, it's elements. Sometimes it's not as consistent as you would like, even though we buy US source medical grade material. Let's treat the core, make it super pristine, that roundness, and see if we can even get it better. And so we did. We experimented, and this is what we got. We call it accurate core technology. Here's your round core. We treat it. We have the windings coming in. And then if you pull the windings back, here's where the magic happens. See the grooves? Those kind of cradle the windings in place and allow them to stay where they should. And they can vibrate. They're not glued down, because nobody wants that. There's no vibration. They can kind of vibrate freely. And let me show you a little sound graph. So this was taken just a week and a half ago at John Rubinstein's studio, and we took a picture of regular hex core strings. And you can see the sound waves. First of all, there's less of them, and they're more inconsistent. And then you go down and you look at the Dragonskin Plus strings, which is the string that Guild USAs are now going to be coming out with, which is the whole point of why we're here tonight. I think I'd rather just let you guys hear it and let the strings do the talking. So Shane Alexander is going to come up and join me. He's a longtime Guild artist and a new friend to DR. Hi. And hey, Shane. And he did the beautiful playing tonight. And we're going to do a little A/B demo blind test. So we're going to see if you guys can tell the difference between a regular hex core string and a Dragonskin Plus, which has the accurate core technology. And you guys decide. Tell us what you think. Let's start with A. Everything's identical.
Good.
USA made Guild guitars. The only difference are the strings. Would you like an open chord for us?
Okay.
That's A.
Thank you.
Are you playing that the same way?
I have acrylic nails. Here's with the pick.
How many for me? Shane, could you say a few words as an artist?
I would be happy to. Hi. Yes, I've been a longtime Guild artist, and Annika and I have just met recently. We actually met last night for the first time, but we've been on the phone lately. And first, I just want to say how beautiful I think the story is, and I'm super honored to be here tonight and part of this. I'm a total Guild nut, and these are obviously the same model. They're Rosewood Dreadnought D50s. And so last week, I was given these two guitars, and obviously I was hoping that I would discern the difference straight away, and I totally did. My notes were I thought there was more power, I thought there was more clarity, there was more sort of across the spectrum from high to low, there was a little more sparkle up top and a little more chub downtown. And when I saw the image, that really cemented the conclusion I had already come to. And another thing I thought was sort of worth noting was I was playing it for a while, and I had forgotten that they were coated strings, and historically I don't care for coated strings. I don't like the feel, and I feel like they seem a little muted, and I didn't even remember that they were. I didn't scan it with my hands. I feel like the hand feel is really nice. But yeah, I was pleasantly stoked when I first started playing these. Yeah, I think they speak for themselves.
It's interesting, right? I barely told you that these strings are coated. So that's the other surprise, and this is why I think it's interesting for a manufacturer like Guild to choose these, because they'll last longer, but this is kind of shattering the notion that you have to compromise your sound if you're using coated strings.
Absolutely.
So that's fun to hear you talk about that. Do they feel like coated strings to you?
Not at all. They do have like I said, sort of a premium hand feel. I thought they felt really nice in my hand straight away, but I didn't scan a coating or any. Again, I always felt like coated strings just felt sort of, I don't know, something unnatural about them to me. But these felt great straight away.
Thank you, Shane. Well, hopefully we'll hear some more playing from you. I also kind of thought it would be interesting to hear a little bit from Simon, if he's here somewhere. Simon from Guild, who has an engineering background and was there when they did their own shootout. They did their own blind test. Maybe two engineers could come up and just talk to us.
Thank you, Annika. All right, engineer now. So it's a bit of a stretch. I'm head of marketing. So many moons ago when dinosaurs roamed the earth, but I did actually do a degree in electroacoustic engineering. But yeah, it was a long time ago, so I still have a little bit of that retained knowledge. But now it's about storytelling, and I've got to say that the stories here and the alignment between the brands and the shared missions and everything that Victor said is just, it rings so true to what these two brands are going to do together. And I can't wait to sort of continue this journey as we go forward. But I will share this little anecdote that, yes, we wanted to hear, is there really a difference between the strings that we're using and the DR strings? So there was about half a dozen of us in the head of engineering's office in Calabasas, where we're located, and we had a couple of the guitars, and it was blind, and people that are far better at playing guitar than me were playing the guitar, and I sort of stood at the back, and I actually stood behind the guitar as they were being played. And recalling that little acoustic engineering background, I'm thinking, well, I don't know if it's the optimal position for acoustics, because I'm not going to get any high frequency back here. It's all going to be low and boomy, and so at some point I'll move around the front. But I was absolutely flabbergasted at the difference that I heard, and that they were brighter. I could feel the projection more. And I'd sort of detected this high frequency resonance, and I wasn't expecting it at all. So it was a solid thumbs up for me as the participant in that. Now, why that is, then somebody far more intelligent than me, Mr. Garth Powell, can actually explain that.
Simon, thank you so much. And Annika as well. This is sort of interesting for me because what I do, that pays the bills these days, I'm also a jazz musician, which would means that by all rights I should be completely impoverished. But, because I realized that I still want to eat, I'm also an audio engineer. I studied both. And the thing is, we met at the Sweetwater event, and I design for mostly 2-channel audiophiles, very, very expensive cables, electronics, power conditioners, and so forth. This is what I do, but I'm around music every day. I'm on the reproduction end instead of the creation end, except for when I take off my engineering cap and I do the other thing. But I was fascinated when I came there because we'd never met before, but there were so many similarities in our passion for our products, the invention, and some other things I hadn't even really discussed with Annika. For one thing, our top-of-the-range electronics and cables that I've designed are called Dragon skin. And that's the first thing. And then the other spooky thing is that when you're dealing with cables, the root of that is the wire. We're going to a lot of the same places for wires for high-end premium cables as well as for guitar strings. And so many of the ideas are similar, they're just implemented in different ways. And the thing that always fascinates me is it's great to talk about the superlatives and all of the marketing about, well, we put this with this, and we put this with the other thing, and we created this new line, and we got a patent, and therefore we're superior. And you need to use this, and everyone else is using it. It's bandwagon, and your favorite person, and this person's got a relationship with this other person, and the Beatles were involved. You've got to, come on down. The water's fine. But the thing for me, and that's great, but the thing for me, because I can't speak to the same thing that Victor spoke to, but what excites me is not just the technology, but why. And it's the fact that the first time I heard that demo, I was, it's just kind of like what Simon just said, slightly different though. I was the equivalent of the back corner of the room, and I heard it as if I was standing a foot away. It was so clear to me. I've got trained ears, but nonetheless, it was like, no, this isn't just like, I think I sort of feel something. This was bam! And it was a situation for me, okay, so it's interesting to look at the technology they did and for me to kind of understand the relationships with what I've done before and the fact that musicians will always kind of like talk about, and this is true, well, it's just about the vibe, man, and am I getting the vibe from this instrument, from this string, from this, like a thing that I'm trying to create, and that's real. And also, it's very, very true that people will say that if the musician's great, it ain't gonna matter what the instrument is, they're gonna make it sound great. That's partially true, but the thing is that Pythagoras, with the monochord, did the science for this. It's the root of our harmony and everything that we do with our scale systems in the West. When that vibration ends, it ends. You're not getting it back. You're not going to process your way around it. It's done. The thing about this is it's going to allow you to vibe more. It's going to allow you to express your heart to your hands, into the instrument, out to your ears, and for you to be impacted by, because that's the science of how this works. And it's real because it's not just a question of like, well, do I like a little bit more highs or lows, or is there more under the hood or something like that? No, it's the fact that it's working as an efficient, consistent end. It's not getting in your way. It's a direct connection from your heart, your soul, your brain, your mind, out. And it's not getting in the way. It's doing what it's supposed to do. That's what impresses me. That's what I'm passionate about creating on the reproduction end, and this is what Annika and her team have created on the creation of music end.
Thank you, Garth. I really have some nice friends, don't you think? I just want to say one thing. I mean, had my father and grandfather been alive today, I think that they would have gotten rid of that frustration. I really think they would have felt we nailed that certain extra something, that tone that they were after, and there's all sorts of scientific reasons why. It only took 3 generations, but here we are, and I can't wait to hear the music that's going to flow out of these American-made guitars. So thank you very much. I think we should raise a glass to celebrate really a special moment to all of you for coming out tonight. Thank you.